I think from now on I'm going to take Adam Sandler more seriously.
This is me. This is how I win.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So, Uncut Gems, a lot of people catching this movie over Christmas week, and I was one of them. I am excited to share my thoughts of this movie with you guys, but I'd like to hear your thoughts as usual. Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of Uncut Gems? I'd like to hear whether you loved it or hated it and why. And also, don't forget, consider clicking on the subscribe button so we can talk movies, TV shows, and anything that I love to talk about. But in the meantime, let's talk Uncut Gems. A New York City jeweler always on the lookout for the next big score makes a series of high-stake bets that could lead to the windfall of a lifetime. Howard must perform a precarious high-wire act, balancing business, family, and adversaries on all sides in his relentless pursuit of the ultimate win. So I'll just start by saying this. If you're the type that doesn't like stress or any tense moments in a movie, or you have some sort of anxiety, this might be a long 2 hours for you. So much happens in this movie from the very beginning up until the finale, the last few minutes, that you have to really collect your thoughts on what's going on here. And this is a movie that is getting a lot of high praise. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's 93% last I look. Audience score, though, it's 55%. I've been noticing a lot of movies like this that have had this bit of a divide between critics and audiences, and this might be a little bit of an obvious theory of why, but with every genre of every film, there's a specific formula that it follows, and it's wired into a lot of people to the point where they watch a certain movie, they have an idea of what they're going to get out of it, and sometimes that concludes the idea of whether they're going to like it or not. For other people, critics especially, they really are interested in seeing change, something different, in order for us to get a story that is somewhat familiar, but it's still fresh and it's going in different directions. This movie kind of does that. This is a crime film, but it does things differently that you wouldn't expect, and it is something new, it is something different. I'm always up for change. It depends on what type of movie you're doing. The story seems pretty simple. There's this guy, Howard, and he has his jewelry shop, and he's always on the hunt for the next big thing, as I was saying in the description of the movie. And he comes across this gem that's been dug up in Ethiopia, and in my opinion, I think he makes a lot of stupid decisions in this movie, and he wants to auction this off in order to get money for it. And that's all, in the end, that's all what he wants. And he's a character that you come to see that you think he deserves what he's getting throughout this whole movie, but there's times where you kind of hope that he makes his way out of it. Very interesting character, and that's another thing about Adam Sandler in this film. You don't see him in a lot of movies like this. We know him as a comedian, and to see him in this type of role, it was convincing. I was impressed with his performance, and for him to be in this world, to be in this situation, that just kind of added the interest of me watching this movie, along with this different direction that this movie was taking. I can see, though, why some people wouldn't like this movie, coming from a traditional audience member. For the most part, these 2 hours, all he's trying to do is trying to get this gem back in his own hands, and it feels like at some point that the situation keeps repeating itself in certain ways of what he has to do in order to get it. And that's really what the whole movie's all about, is him trying to get that gem and bring it to the auction. And it's the way that everything unfolds is what makes it interesting. And in my opinion, I was invested the whole way through, not because of Adam Sandler's performance, but just how the situation took itself every scene. And I was interested. I wanted to know how this movie was going to end, and I feel it was brought to a really thrilling conclusion to this whole 2 hour and 10-minute movie. And this movie is directed by, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, the Safdie brothers. I hope I'm correct. And I've never heard of them, and I don't know what other films they have really made before this one, but I feel it's a good start to them being introduced into the mainstream of cinema. And though a lot of people that I saw on Rotten Tomatoes didn't like the film, I still think it's a great way to start their directing career, being branched out so more people know who they are. And I just thought they brought this movie to life in such a way that we're familiar with the world. It's in New York City, but this had the same essence as a lot of Martin Scorsese's movies, where he were brought into New York or whatever city he was using, and it just felt, you felt the grittiness. It felt like a 1970s film in a way, of the movie that took place in New York City. Serpico is one of them that comes to mind. Just movies that deals with cops and crime, and it just feels gritty. It feels dark. It feels like you're in the underworld of that city, and it just, that's one of the other things that really kept me interested in this movie and how dark this film felt. And another thing about this film was I was actually surprised on how much I liked the score of this film. It has a really synthetic, electronic vibe to it, and it's very haunting to listen to it. And it just sounds weird at first, some of the music you're listening to, the score, but it somehow it fits. And with a combination of all this, the score, Adam Sandler's performance, just the eerie, gritty feel of it all, and just kind of somewhat a simple situation of what's going on, it just made up to be just something different, something that I wasn't expecting. I had no anticipation for this movie whatsoever. I just wanted to check it out, and it came out to be something that I liked more than I would have thought I would. But it was a good movie. It's a film that I don't think will get a lot of Oscar nominations, but I feel Adam Sandler does deserve a nomination. Unfortunately, I don't think he was nominated for the Golden Globes, but hopefully he'll be considered for an Oscar for Best Actor for this film, because I feel he really deserves it. And this is a movie that proves that he needs to be given more material, at least from a dramatic standpoint, and it proves that he can do more than just comedy. But thank you guys so much for hearing my thoughts on Uncut Gems. Don't forget to comment below, tell me what you thought about this movie. Love to hear any opinions on it. And don't forget to also consider subscribing so we can talk movies and more.